You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Coming up, an Aurora, Missouri man faces charges in a shooting.
It is all eyes up to the northwest. We're waiting on a storm system that is not only packing heavy rain, check out the lightning tracker as well. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And President Biden signs multiple bills into law expanding care for veterans. All that and more coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. The prosecutor has charged a suspect in an Aurora, Missouri shooting. Authorities say 22-year-old Cole Walker became angry with 36-year-old Shannon Goebel and confronted him at an Aurora Inn motel. They say Walker then fired a handgun at Goebel, striking him in the leg. Officials say Walker left and tried to hide the gun. Walker is charged with assault of the first degree or attempt, armed criminal action, unlawful use of a weapon, and tampering with physical evidence. Authorities say this is not a random shooting and that the victim and suspect had a previous relationship. Walker has been denied bond. Authorities in Montgomery County, Kansas are looking for a hit-and-run suspect after they were unable to capture him in an overnight standoff. This is a photo from the Montgomery County Chronicle of a police vehicle outside an Independence home during the standoff. Independence police were looking for 39-year-old Brian Metzger on a charge of attempted murder. They say last Thursday he intentionally hit another man with a car and then left the scene. Police had reason to believe Metzger was in the home last night, so they surrounded it. But when they searched inside Tuesday morning, they could not find Metzger. Authorities are searching for a suspect following a robbery at a Webb City Subway. Officials say a man pulled out a gun during the robbery around 8:30 Tuesday morning. They say the suspect demanded all of the store's money and left the area in a dark gray vehicle. Vehicle pictured looks to be a dark gray Chrysler 300 with dark tinted windows and possibly has an Oklahoma license plate. Authorities say no one was hurt during the incident. U.S. Department of Transportation signs a historic infrastructure compact with the Cherokee Nation. Cherokee Nation says the Tribal Transportation Self-Governance Program allows the tribe to plan and oversee its own construction planning and transit projects. The pact also gives tribes and tribal organizations specific rights and federal resources to implement and support their self-governance programs. Cherokee Nation is the first tribe to enter into the program. Well, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, people have seen a rise in scammers pretending to be from government agencies. These scams have targeted a lot of 4-staters. The Better Business Bureau is warning people to use caution when contacted by a government agency or if you're being offered a grant for a fee. Scammers may also ask for money in the form of a gift card. Some scammers may also be posing as a friend of yours online.
A lot of people, again, are losing $3,000. We're also seeing hackers and scammers hack into people's private Facebook messages, sending these messages. It looks like a real conversation that you're having with your friend. It's very casual, very genuine, and then you're out a lot of money, and it turns out it wasn't your friend you were talking to the whole time.
You can find a full list of tips and how to prevent being scammed on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Neosho School District formally announces the name of the Performing Arts Center that's currently under construction at the high school. The facility will be named after the legacy donor, Freeman Health System. Freeman donated $1 million towards the project. Other sponsors were also recognized at the ceremony. Part of the $20 million project is also funded by a tax proposal approved by voters in 2020. School officials say the project will allow band, choir, and show choir students to perform at their best.
Well, it just fits our mission, and that is to give our students the greatest opportunity to be successful, regardless of what avenue they choose for that to be.
The Performing Arts Center is one of many new upgrades in the school district. Storm shelters were completed at the elementary and middle school, along with the Lazy Boy in-zone facility. Margaret Atwood never thought she'd try to burn one of her own books, but that's exactly what she did. To this copy of The Handmaid's Tale, a story about a dystopian future where fertile women are forced to bear children for the privileged. It's been banned again and again since coming out in 1985, but this particular copy cannot be burned. Atwood tested it out herself with a flamethrower. The book is made of nickel wire, stainless steel, aluminum, and fire-resistant inks. It'll be auctioned off Wednesday, and it could bring in upwards of $100,000 for PEN America, a group that advocates for free expression. An unburnable book is expression in itself right now, as we see a surge in book banning in American schools. Atwood hopes banning doesn't turn to burning, but if it does, she says she hopes some books will prove unburnable. They will travel underground, as prohibited books did in the Soviet Union.
I am not going to lie to you. When you started that story and told me Margaret Atwood was burning a book, I just about jumped out of my seat and wondered what in the world had we come to. And now it makes sense. Do we know what, did it say what the pages are made? Are the pages made of that as well?
It did not mention the pages, and I was wondering as I was reading, I'm wondering if it's like the case around the book.
It's
possibly.
such an iconic cover.
But yeah. Turned into a great series too.
I don't know, I've never watched it.
You should check into
I'm an elitist, remember that. Being raised by, an English lit teacher and an American lit teacher. I was always amazed. It's one of my favorite books. Because it's a permanent staple in the Hayslip household. I was always amazed when I became old enough to fully appreciate the themes and the motifs in it, that it was written in 1985. I grew up thinking that this book was actually from the 60s. And I did not realize until I became older that it was, I was almost 10 years old when the book was written.
It's ironic that like a book written, when was that, 1984 written? Anyway.
66?
Yeah, in the 60s.
49. Thank you, Trevor.
40s. In the 40s. Like it was written, about the dystopian future, and this one's written about the dystopian future, but written about the same time the other one was talking about. But
that's a very good point. Also, too, Margaret Atwood, always quick to point out, and as good, as awesome as Margaret Atwood is. If you folks ever have a chance to hear Margaret Atwood on a podcast or anything like that, she's just marvelous because she's so open to interpretation about the way that her works affect people that read them. She doesn't try to instill any view upon you like other authors who have, they say, no, this was my vision, this is what I meant. Margaret Atwood is just so open. It's like, if that's the way you see it, then that's the way you see it. Also, but she has one thing that she never wants to be called. She is not a science fiction author. Okay. She never wanted, she does not like that term used for Handmaid's Tale.
I wouldn't have seen it as science fiction.
I can see, and I've read about the TV series, and I know it's got some elements of, but because it's dystopian and futuristic and whatnot. But yes, she don't want that to be. Okay, and there concludes Michael and Tanya's expose on the great Margaret Atwood. And like I said, one of the most iconic book covers. That's not the original cover?
Really?
Yeah. If I showed you the original cover without the title on it, you'd have no idea what it is. That's the cover that all of us know growing up, obviously. 67 degrees over 7th and Rangeline. Here's what we're waiting on, this storm system up to the northwest that absolutely refuses to move off that line from Hutchinson to Emporia. So two things. Number one, they're going to have to deal with the flooding with the immense amount of rain that they've already had this morning. Number two, it's going to spare Kansas City, which is dealing with multiple reports of extremely high winds. We don't have any confirmed reports of tornadoes, but from the damage reports coming out of Johnson County all the way up to Lee Summit through KC, it certainly would not surprise me if we do have confirmation of one by the end of the day. Number three, we're waiting on this to drop down upon us. If it's going to hang up there for that long and stay that organized, it really affects our timetable as far as how long it's going to last into the afternoon. You'll also notice cooler temperatures with the color contour now dropping Miami, Grove, Neosho, Anderson, in our southern counties, all the way into the low to mid 60s. That's about a 5-degree drop from where they were earlier. So throughout the course of our show and throughout the morning, what we will be looking at is that definitive line. Not only hard rain, that thing is also packing a fair amount of lightning as well. We'll keep on updating our timeline. I'm going to say out of here by 1, 2 o'clock this afternoon now. After that, back up into the 80s. Thursday's looking great. We got a weekend heat wave. We'll break that down in just a little bit, Tanya, because we've got 90s on the horizon.
All right. Enjoy it while it lasts. That's basically
And enjoy Margaret
trying to tell
Atwood.
us. Yeah. All right. All right, thanks, Michael. Up next, we'll have how bad dreams are omens for Parkinson's disease. And later, Jeannie Moose is back, and not with a mini skirt, but with Tom Brady's line of underwear.
Bring back Sydney.
There we go. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. In Health Watch this morning, bad dreams could be the earliest signs of Parkinson's disease. A study published in eClinical Medicine found that in a group of older men, those who had frequent nightmares and bad dreams were twice as likely to be later diagnosed with Parkinson's as those who did not. Researchers say this early indicator should prompt patients to talk to their doctor. And researchers in Texas studied more than 1,200 people 50 and older who had knee osteoarthritis. They found those walking for exercise were less likely to develop frequent knee pain, and regular walking may also prevent additional damage to the joint. As a sunny outlook could extend your golden years. Research in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that higher levels of optimism were associated with longer lifespans and an increased likelihood of living past the age of 90. Well, it's time to grab your bestie and celebrate. Wednesday, June 8th is National Best Friends Day. For most of us, it can be easy to make friends at school, but it can get harder as an adult. A few suggestions on how to honor your nearest and dearest. Celebrate your BFF by sharing a nice dinner at your favorite restaurant, or maybe hang out at a park together, especially if your best friend is your fur baby.
So, Tanya, I would ask you to take this time to recognize your best friend. Give him a shout out on there.
Right there.
Oh, stop. No, I'm
Right
dead serious. I'm dead serious. Like, I'm gonna take this time and do it after mine so he can watch it on air and know how much I love him.
Okay. Well, okay, so my best TV best friend, I'm no lie, is definitely Michael Hayslip. We go way back.
That's very kind of you. Now,
But my best friend of all time goes way back to college,
Mm-hmm.
Miss Tiffany Bear. I miss you. I know you live out in Colorado, and I haven't seen you in years, but we have a lot of history, and we'll always be.
shout out to Alan Robinson, who I also had a chance to meet in college. He goes by the name of A-Rob. Just coincidentally enough, we happen to share the same birthday. How weird is that? I know. Anyway, the A-Rob raised me during my formidable years. You know how much I love you, Kendall, and the kids, my man. And we'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. So the intro to this story says Tom Brady is giving his wife a run for her money. Well, that's actually never going to happen. Trust me. We know who runs that family. It is not Tom Brady, and he will never give Giselle a run for her money. However, Tom, the football star, a little modest about flaunting his new underwear. Jeannie Moose with the story.
You've seen him in uniform and out of uniform. Now you're about to see him half naked.
Somebody's got a new underwear. What is this?
This is Tom Brady in his Brady brand underwear being teased by his wife, and the internet can't look away. Lord have mercy. Brady's packing heat. If I buy one, can you sign it? Tom tried to preserve his modesty when his wife went in for the close-up.
Let me see your new underwear. Is that Brady brand underwear?
Brady launched his own activewear clothing line about 6 months ago.
It's the toughest tee for the hardest workouts, and you know we love that.
Now he's adding undies, like these boxer briefs priced at $20 that you can wear to toss a football around. Or ride a motorcycle. Brady now joins the ranks of elite athletes who have flaunted their bodies to sell skivvies, from David Beckham in Armani undies clutching a massive rope, to Rafael Nadal serving up Armani and Tommy Hilfiger, to Cristiano Ronaldo sporting his own brand, and now Brady brand. Posted one fan, "Congrats, Tom. You're the second best underwear model in the family," a reference to Brady's model wife, Giselle Bundchen. Seen here modeling for Victoria's Secret, but there's one other quarterback who has a leg up on Brady when it comes to intimate under things.
Now, I don't wear pantyhose, but a beauty mist can make my legs look good. Imagine what they'll do for yours.
Joe Namath can give Tom Brady tips on how to show a little leg rather than hide it. Jeannie Mose, CNN.
Especially your legs.
New York.
Trevor behind the camera and him and I were talking during that story right there. And can you imagine you've got 6 Super Bowl rings. You're regarded as possibly the greatest quarterback in NFL history. And take money out of the picture. Just take money out of the picture right now. So that's what you're known as in the United States. But when you get home, your wife looks at you and is like, "Hon, if you want to talk about who's famous in this family, it ain't you." That's the clout Giselle carries. Hello, Glow Cloud over 7th and Rangeline in Joplin. 67 degrees. We are finally seeing movement of our thunderstorm activity out to the northwest. Now, 2 things at play here. Number 1, we're getting a little pop-up rain on the leading edge of this where that cold front's moving through. The larger band now progressing down into our counties, not quickly, albeit, but at least we're getting some movement because our goal is to not only have it dissipate, but also get through here sooner than later. But down to the south, this is that double barrel action that we were talking about yesterday, as this one that generated to the east of Ponca City, just about to make it into Washington County and move east, and it eventually will cross through northeast Oklahoma into southwest Missouri and northwest Arkansas. So that's what we're tracking here at the 7 o'clock hour. For the most part, if you're going to get out the door here in the next 15, 30, 45 minutes, it's going to be just fine traveling. What this does, though, is just slows us down as far as the afternoon and how quickly we can actually get this rain out of here. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
It's time to honor today's 4-state hero, Private First Class James Hicks. The Rogers, Arkansas native served from 1962 to 1966 in North Vietnam aboard the USS Kitty Hawk. To Private First Class James Hicks, we thank you, today's 4-state hero. Well, President Biden signed several bipartisan bills into law yesterday that improve health care for veterans. As Natalie Brand explains, one of the new laws expands access to breast cancer screenings and is named after a veteran who recently passed away.
Morning. CBS News spoke with Marine veteran Dr. Kate Hendricks Thomas less than 6 months before she lost her battle with stage 4 breast cancer, leaving behind her young son Matthew and her husband Shane.
The radiologist said it looked like I'd been dipped in something.
Hendricks Thomas learned of her diagnosis at age 38, more than a decade after returning home from Iraq, where she was exposed to toxic burn pits on base. Fellow Marine veteran Mindy Byer has been closely tracking legislation named in her friend's honor, requiring the Department of Veterans Affairs to provide mammograms for those who served near burn pits or had other toxic exposures, regardless of symptoms, age, or family history.
We hope that the message is getting out to veterans. If you have been serving, even if you weren't around burn pits, there's a possibility you were around some sort of toxic exposure. Please go earlier. Please check yourself out.
The legislation is one of 9 bills for veterans the president signed into law Tuesday.
Because veterans are the backbone, the spine of who we are as a country. We owe them. We owe them big.
This signing ceremony comes with pressure on Capitol Hill to still pass legislation to help an estimated 3.5 million veterans exposed to toxins in more recent conflicts. It took Hendricks Thomas 3 years to get her claim approved after it was initially denied.
Kate was very proud to serve her country, and I think that her message would always be fight for your country, but then fight for each other when you get back.
It's a message advocates hope senators hear when they take a final vote on burn pit legislation expected later this week.
In the bill named Honoring Our Pact, if the bill passes in the Senate, it's expected to get a final vote in the House. Another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, KJ Ashley and Dion Campbell are stopping by our studios this morning to talk about a fun community event for the kids this weekend. And a 7-year-old boy with Down syndrome gets to live out his dream of being a UPS driver. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:29. Let's take a look at today's top stories. Lawrence County prosecutor charges a suspect in an Aurora, Missouri shooting. Authorities say 22-year-old Cole Walker became angry with 36-year-old Shannon Goebel and confronted him at the Aurora Inn motel. They say Walker then fired a handgun at Goebel, striking him in the leg. Officials say Walker left and tried to hide the gun. Walker is charged with assault of the first degree or attempt, armed criminal action, unlawful use of a weapon, and tampering with physical evidence. Authorities say this is not a random shooting and that the victim and suspect had a previous relationship. Walker has been denied bond. In the aftermath of numerous mass shootings, Democratic lawmakers are negotiating gun reform on Capitol Hill, and one of the things they are seeking support for is red flag laws. And that's when a gun owner deemed to be a risk to themselves or others can have their firearm taken away by authorities. However, some conservative Senate Republicans seem to be against the proposal, and it could be a stumbling block for negotiators. On Tuesday, GOP Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri explained why he does not support red flag laws.
I don't particularly like the red flag laws. I mean, I think that this is when you're taking away somebody's Second Amendment rights when they have not yet committed a crime and they're not there to defend themselves. Most of those proceedings are ex parte proceedings, so the defendant's not present, his or her lawyer's not present. I got a lot of concerns with that.
Some lawmakers have expressed optimism that a deal for a narrow, targeted gun reform bill could be reached as soon as the end of this week or next. With the recent mass shootings that have happened across the country, some questions are being asked about how our local law enforcement would prepare for that event. Officials from the Joplin Police Department say they are as proactive as possible when it comes to active shooter threats. Some officers are also certified to respond to these events. They say they also have investigators who look into potential threats and monitor different schools.
And so they're each assigned schools, and so they go through and they kind of have the responsibility of gauging the temperature and the activity within those schools, and any information that's received, it's coordinating with other officers or investigators, and just sharing that information and following up where there may be threats.
You can find how local school districts are preparing for mass shootings on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. The Tulsa community is still in shock and mourning after a shooting rampage last week that claimed 5 lives, including the gunman. Now, watching this tragedy unfold was frightening for many people, but especially for one nursing student employed by St. Francis. Amanda Slee spoke with him about how he's feeling after seeing this happen.
It's scary that it's in a place where I work, where I do clinicals, where all my fellow classmates do clinicals.
While McCumber is thankful he wasn't working at the time of the shooting, he says that wasn't his first thought when he heard the news Wednesday evening.
When I, thought about it, the first thought was just my fellow students and hoping none of them had to witness or be a part in that tragic situation.
Even after this, he says he still wants to be a nurse.
I think that this can happen anywhere, unfortunately. I don't wish to do anything else, and I never would, regardless of whether or not there's an extreme danger that could potentially come from it.
Something the president and CEO of St. Francis Health Systems hopes other healthcare workers believe as well.
We can't allow that to make us want to turn our back on the reason that we're here. We were all called into this profession to care for others and to care for our community. And while it's human nature to want to turn our backs right now, to want to walk away, we can't do that. And we won't do that.
Robertson says 10,000 people work in the St. Francis Health System. McCumber says while it will be difficult to move past this, he says it will be important to have the community's support.
Just be even an ear to listen, a shoulder to cry on, somebody to just hold and hug for them can be very helpful.
President and CEO Robertson also encourages his staff to ask questions and acknowledge that this event will change St. Francis. Well, there's great news for anyone who wants to walk around all day looking like the messiest cheese dip eater in the world. Okay. Well, now you can sport the enchanting look of spilled cheese on your fingernails all day. Why would you want to do this? Velveeta has teamed up with London-based beauty brand Nails Inc. to launch its first ever nail polish collection. Harkening to the timeless and classy appeal of Velveeta, the two polish collection is called Pinkies Out. Nail paint comes in a deep yellow color, reminiscent of the gooey cheese product itself, and also bright red for fans of the color used on the Velveeta packaging. What could be better? Only if it actually smelled like cheese. Or maybe tasted like cheese. Well, guess what? Velveeta's got you covered there too, because
good
it
night,
does
Irene.
smell like cheese.
That is not. Oh, it smells like. I thought you were going to tell me it tastes like.
No, don't eat
Yeah,
nail polish.
do not.
No.
Don't. No.
But why would you want your fingers to smell like
I have
cheese?
no idea. It's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard of. I will tell you that there's one marketing person right now that is extremely upset about this. They work at Cheetos, and they're thinking, how did I not come up with this idea first?
Yeah.
Don't eat the fingernail polish, folks. Disclaimer
Cheese
from all of us here at
nail polish
FOX14.
duo. Ugh.
Yeah.
Why would you want your fingers to smell like cheese?
Yeah, just wait till this turns into some TikTok challenge and see what happens then.
No, kids,
God,
do
I've become
not
the
do
curmudgeon-y
this.
old man. Dion, did you see what's happened to me in my old age? Curmudgeon-y old man. We're about to introduce you to two wonderful young men coming up here in just a little bit, but one of them has known me since I was like what would you say? I was vibrant? Okay. I was vibrant. I was vibrant at one point in time. Now I've become curmudgeon-y. Get off my lawn, leave me alone, don't eat fingernail polish. That's what my life has turned into. 67 degrees over 7th and Rangeline right now as we are awaiting, and we're finally getting just a little bit of movement out of this as this storm system that was on a line from Hutch up to Emporia slowly drops in on us. But when I say slowly, I mean Mother Nature is moving in slow motion this morning. It is packing a fair amount of lightning. It has not given up on that, along with the heavy rain. That's the lightning it's picked up in the last 15 minutes alone. As we see little pockets on the leading edge turn up, also a cold front. And also tracking this one that developed just to the east side of Ponca City, now making its way into the southern portion of Washington County. We've seen a little bit of a drop in our temperatures, for the most part stabilized. Not much of a warm-up though early on, because this front does have some cooler air behind it. Here's what's problematic about it. It's going to take longer than expected. So right now, let's plan on thunderstorm activity all the way until about 2 p.m. this afternoon before we dispatch it, then warm back up into the 80s. Thursday's looking pretty good, slight chance of rain, and then we got a heat wave headed our way for the weekend into next week. Be back with more KOAM morning news on Fox 14, and Dion can make fun of me for being a curmudgeon-y old man right after this.
Welcome back. We have two special guests in studio today, KJ Ashley and Dion Campbell, or should I say Coach Campbell, joining us this morning, here to talk about a really fun event that hopefully will become an annual event this Sunday. First of all, tell us what we have going on.
Well, it's called the Pittsburgh's the first annual summertime kickoff for the children of Pittsburgh, Kansas. And we're going to have bouncy houses, like 5 bouncy houses, and 3 of them have swimming pools. We're going to have hot dogs, hamburgers, and chicken, chips for the kids to eat free of charge. And we're going to also we want to do face painting, but we're trying to get a few more volunteers to help us out with that.
Okay.
And
I mean, this is a huge endeavor.
Oh, yeah.
You've got volunteers helping you out.
Yes.
Why did you guys decide to host this event this year?
Well, we decided to do something different. I remember growing up as a kid, we used to have block parties, different things like that. I thought it'd be good for us to start something, give something back to the community, which we both live in. We have kids here, so it'll be something great for them and for everyone.
Yeah.
It should be very interesting.
So everything's going to kick off on Sunday.
Yes.
What time does it start and where is it at?
We're going to do noon, and then it'll be at Schlanger Park on East 6th Street here in Pittsburgh, Kansas.
At Schlanger Park.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, and you were talking about big bounce houses that you have coming.
Yes, 3 of them have swimming pools and 2 of them are just big bouncy houses that the kids can play on. Like my friend Willie Turner Woods, I had a birthday party for my 3-year-old last year, and he brought up the bouncy houses, and it was like 50 kids in the community that came, and I barbecued for them, and it was a big success. So I'm thinking this will be even bigger.
And you guys have a lot of people that are donating things so far.
Yes.
What are you still looking for to help out for Sunday?
Well, we're looking for more people to come out. Like he said, face painting, someone that can do that for us. Just anything that the kids can have fun with. We have snow cone machine, I believe, so far.
Jolly Trolleys, the Jolly Trolley will be there.
The Jolly Trolley?
Yes.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just looking for more events for the kids to have fun with. We're trying to set up a kickball, basketball courts there, so we already have some set up for basketball, a little 3-on-3.
I know the Pittsburgh Splash Pad just recently
Yes,
opened, so that'll be going. So definitely with the bouncy houses that have pools, you want the kids to come with swimsuits.
Swim. Yes, yes.
Bring a towel.
Bring towels, yes.
And just enjoy yourself. Hopefully it turns to something big and we can continue to do this.
All right. Do you need people to come and help cook or anything like that?
We've got the cooking, so we're probably just like half the people that help serve the kids and stuff like that. So, but yeah, me and Dion going to cook, and we got like a couple more other friends, close personal friends, that's going to help us come out and cook, to volunteer with us.
Yeah, we'd rather them just come out, enjoy themselves, have a good time.
How long do you expect the event to last on Sunday?
Till about 7:30.
Oh, so all day.
It's an all-day event, yeah.
So they can go home, come back. It's free of charge. Once again, free of charge. We just want you to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm hopefully it will be a great. Where can people go to find more information about it?
We're passing out flyers, but we also been posting it on Facebook. And we will continue to advertise it on Facebook to get the word out. And it's just not for Pittsburgh kids, it's for the area kids, for the 4 states. I mean, Joplin, Carthage, Fort Scott. We want just kids to have fun, basically.
All right. So, and again, and you can find out more. We'll have this interview posted on our website, so you can always go back and refer to that at KOAMnewsnow.com. And again, at noon on Sunday, that's the 12th.
Yes, ma'am.
At Schlanger Park in Pittsburgh. That's where the first annual
summer kickoff
for kids is going to be hosted.
Yes.
All right.
We're very excited about this.
Thank you guys for coming in, and hope we have a wonderful turnout this Sunday.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back. And Consumer Watch this morning talk about a unique wine tasting. American visitors to northern Spain are sipping on samples pulled from under the sea. Ian Lee has the story.
There's sunken treasure in these waters, put there on purpose. Yes, dive deep below the surface off the Spanish coast, and you'll discover wine.
We are very proud of that.
Borja Saracho got the idea from wine discovered in old shipwrecks. Now his one-of-a-kind winery ages thousands of bottles under the sea. White wines are submerged for around 6 months, while reds for about a year. The flow of a nearby river helps keep temperatures cool in this dark corner of the Atlantic. Salty waters help produce some unusual flavors and colors too.
The red wines turns to a more violet color, and the white wines turns to a more green color.
Researchers found the wine is chemically different to that aged on land.
The taste is just absolutely unique. It's not sweet, but at the same time, it's not bitter.
Alan and his family from Florida are in Spain for a bit of sun, sea, and sunken sampling.
You will never tour another vineyard underwater. You'll never be able to go out on a boat ride at a winery.
While toasting this taste of the sea. Ian Lee, CBS News.
Apparently the fish like the winery too. The cages of wine create an artificial reef where marine biologists monitor more than 100 fish and plant species. We'll be right back with more after this. But first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
We talk about putting a little good in your morning. Well, how about this? A first grader with Down syndrome gets to live out his dream of becoming a UPS driver. It all started when Drew Bosman wore a UPS uniform for Halloween. Since then, the 7-year-old has been inspired to deliver joy. Molly Reel with Drew's story.
Okay, here you go. 7-year-old Drew Bosman loves UPS.
Every time a UPS truck would go by, UPS!
His favorite color? Brown. His Halloween costume? You guessed it.
We got him a little uniform for Halloween and it stuck. He started wanting to put it on and deliver packages to his friends, and he told everyone who would listen that he wants to be a UPS truck driver when he grows up.
And his mom Becky says it's because Drew says UPS delivers joy, which is fitting.
Joy is kind of my platform as it relates to Down syndrome because, to be honest, having a kid with Down syndrome has been the greatest source of joy in my life.
And today, UPS delivered something special to Drew, his biggest dream, to suit up in brown and bring parcels filled with presents to his peers.
We heard that he loves delivering, loves UPS, and he loves bringing joy for what we do to other people.
Yeah. In a miniature truck decorated with flames and filled with packages, UPS driver Ian Geddes drove Drew to his school, Caleb Greenwood. Together, they announced their arrival, unloaded the parcels, and wheeled them onto campus for Drew's first grade class. Living his dream, delivering joy.
This little kid who would do anything that anybody asked freely. And we get a call from this lovely corporation willing to do something like this for us. And it's just everything.
Drew's mom says joy is the delivery he makes every day.
That's what Drew's here to do. He does it to everybody he meets. And it just moves you to tears.
All right, folks, rain or shine, if that doesn't put a smile on your face, I can't help you out any more than that. That was a tremendous story right there. I want to jaunt down here. We've been talking about this line up to the northwest. I want to jaunt down here to the Tulsa area. And it's not affecting our highlighted counties, but I do want to point out this is a severe thunderstorm warning. We have radar indicated hail coming out of this in Osage County up to 1 inch in diameter. And the reason I'm kind of picking on this one is because this has been taking a due easterly track. And so eventually we're going to see a little bit of this clip our counties in northeastern Oklahoma. And if it continues on that track, it's going to make it squarely right through Delaware County as well. Tim, let me know, Trevor, ask Tim, what are we looking at right there? Give us an idea about our live camera. That's North Tulsa right there. Thank you, Tim. So what we're looking at right now, that's about to be impeded by that severe thunderstorm that's rolling through right there. And so I want everybody to know that if you're going to be down on I-44, that's what you're going to run into. And also, too, for those of you in Delaware and even Ottawa County, you got a chance to get a portion of that. Now, as we transition back up to the northwest, this is the one, there we go. We finally get a little movement in that on the radar. So now we're starting to get into our 4-state highlighted counties. We can actually put the earth highlight on here, give you a better idea exactly what we're talking about as far as our viewing area goes. And she's throwing down a fair amount of lightning and also, too, heavy rain. So what we've done is we've extended our time period. I thought we'd be done with this by about the noon hour, but with the way this is moving so slow from northwest down to southeast, I'm going to go ahead and back off on that and say probably not done until about 1 or 2 o'clock this afternoon. Highs around the 80s. We've already seen the cool down, so temperatures won't be an issue. Just a matter of keeping our eyes on if this thing wants to spawn any hail. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. Today, 11-year-old Mia Cerrillo will testify before a House committee in Washington. Mia is a 4th grader who smeared her classmates' blood on herself to appear dead during the mass shooting that killed 19 students and 2 teachers. The parents of one of the children will also speak as lawmakers continue negotiating gun control legislation. President Biden travels to Los Angeles today to host the Summit of the Americas, a gathering of leaders from the Western Hemisphere. The summit is a chance to discuss migration, climate change, and other issues. But at least one key member is skipping the event, Mexican President López Obrador, who says the U.S. should not have excluded the 3 authoritarian countries of Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua. The Supreme Court has indicated it will issue a ruling on at least one case today. The High Court has 30 cases before it, an unusually high amount. Most notable is a case challenging Mississippi's 15-week ban on abortion that could overturn Roe v. Wade. A draft of an opinion was leaked earlier this year, but the court said that was not the final version.
Mother Nature moving in slow motion, but it is starting to come together as we've got severe thunderstorm activity to our far south. While it doesn't affect our direct counties, do want everybody to know in northeast Oklahoma and southern southwest Missouri that this cell that's getting on the north side of Tulsa is moving due east. So that's something to keep our eyes on for the morning. And then we turn our attention up to the northwest, where additional thunderstorm activity will persist, eventually moving through the southeast through the duration of the morning and into the afternoon. Tanya and I have a little bit of a running joke. When you repeat something that somebody says, we say Steve Martin was a prop comic.
Oh, you must have talked about something while I was outside of the studio.
We did. And then you just reiterated it right as you walked in. Thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.